What puts wind in your sails? For Ugne Fink-Jensen, an international negotiator and entrepreneur born in Klaipėda, Lithuania, it was always the adventure of the unknown. After earning her law degree, Ugne embarked on a career path in Scandinavia, where she spent a decade negotiating high-value tech deals and establishing herself as the successful corporate professional she had always imagined herself to be. Still, despite her success, adventure called, and in 2020, she decided to follow her lifelong dream of traveling the world as an independent entrepreneur. Her first step was to build a strong foundation by continuing to learn and finding ways to share her expertise with others. As a result, Ugne founded Legal 4 Partners and Firm&Fair, her own negotiation agency. Today, Ugne is a successful negotiator, conference speaker, and co-founder of Voy, a social app for sailors. Next on her itinerary, a round-the-world sailing trip with her husband and 2 children. Please welcome Ugne Fink-Jensen.
Hello, everybody. I feel I have to explain this. My team always thinks that I'm very humble when I talk about my background, so they made that video to make me look not humble at all. Yeah, so have you ever thought that the greatest challenge in starting and building a business is not finding a great idea, but really finding the courage to follow your dream? In my experience, the key to success and satisfaction in life is not just about building a successful business, but really building a life that you love. Typically, I speak at conferences as an international business negotiator, sharing tips and tricks and strategies on how to negotiate better deal for your business. Today is a very special day for me, because it's the first time that I share a story about a dreamer. I share my personal story about chasing a dream and building businesses that align with my personal aspirations and allow me to live a life on my own terms. Many people hope that the path from a dream to reality is linear, direct. We are taught that if you focus and work hard, you will reach your destination. My experience, though, is that for most people, it's not a planned, direct route, but rather a zigzag, like life or love, driven by emotional connection, and at the same time that needs to be verified with economic realities. My journey from dream to reality looked like this. Looks messy, right? I did enjoy the highs during the dreaming and planning stages, but I also experienced many lows during decisions and executions thereof. So what is that dream that made my life into a roller coaster for the last 7 years? And why is it so important for me? My dream is to sail and live around the world. A dream to embrace a life breaking free from the constraints of a traditional life. This is my oldest dream, but I would lie if I would tell that it was my only dream. I also had a dream to work in a large corporation and build a good career. And while I enjoyed the challenges that it had to offer, I missed the freedom. The first reason why I like sailing is the adventure and exploring the world, meeting people from different cultures, seeing beautiful destinations. The second reason that I already mentioned is the sense of freedom. Freedom of traditional life and freedom from traditional stress. The third reason is the connection with the nature and the minimalistic lifestyle. Because when you live on a boat, you can't bring everything with you, so it forces you to prioritize what's really important. And last but not the least, it's the quality time with my family and friends. Sailing together really bonds you and gives you the experience and memories together you can hold to your heart in the future. And as a person who believes that you must lead by example, it's also really important for me to be a parent who can teach her kids that dreaming can lead you to the same reality. So on one hand, you have a dream, and the other, the future that you hope to have. How do you get there? Well, the first step is to plan. In sailor terms, you call it charting a new course. It starts with having a clear idea of how you envision it. Luckily, around 10 years ago, I met my now husband, who was crazy enough to share the same idea and same dream to sail around the world. While it is definitely comforting to have a partner in pursuing your dream, it also adds a complexity in intertwining the two lives in that stage. But I'll leave that for another time. Our first attempt to plan happened in 2016, so 7 years ago, while we sailed in the Caribbean islands, also the place where we got married. While spending a lot of time at sea, we also discovered that there is a need for sailors to share and connect, a better way of sharing and connecting. And that was the time where we made our first one-page business plan for a venture that we now call VOI. So how did our plan look like? It didn't look like a conventional plan with a lot of action lists and the times when it has to be achieved. It was more a list of answers to questions, such as what boat should we sail? How does our budget look like? And how much savings do we need for a lifestyle like this? And also, importantly, what changes need to be done to live a life like that? Personally, I knew that leaving corporate or leaving my career for later will not work for me, nor will it work to continue working in the corporate world with long hours and office walls. So how does one transform from 100% corporate, office-bound life to a more nomadic experience? My answer is slowly. Change takes time and courage. Very often I found out that deciding what you want is not a difficult part. The difficult part is deciding what you're willing to give up for it. I knew that for me it meant a tough choice of leaving a safe corporate world that for many years I dreamt of, the job that provided me with a lot of good experiences, abilities to grow, wonderful colleagues, and a successful career. So around 3 years ago, to date, I handed in my resignation letter. And although it wasn't really easy, at that moment, I had a plan to take a little time off, move back to my home country, Lithuania, and think about the next business idea or business venture. However, to complicate the things, 2 weeks or 3 weeks after I handed in my resignation letter, the first European-wide COVID lockdown came in. And that's where I really felt like, what the F did I do? I just threw out my career out of the window. What's next? Should I call my former boss and say, oh, can I get my old job back? Or should I apply for another corporate role? I will not go into details how COVID made me feel, but of course it was emotional, and I took it personally, as many did. It wasn't though. So after panicking for a couple of weeks or so, I decided to embrace the unknown and think about what is next. What can I do? We often hear that to get a good idea, we need to think what the world needs. But what if we focus on ourselves sometimes? That's what I did. I asked 2 questions to myself. First, what do I need? And I needed a breathing room or some space. And second, what could I offer? And I could offer my legal and contractual experience for companies working in the IT industry. So my finding is that sometimes it's okay that we start businesses that are not necessarily our passion businesses, especially if they give you solid ground for your next adventure. And that's when I opened the negotiation agency called Firm&Fair, that is my passion project. In that business, I'm on a mission to level the playing field for businesses and negotiation. A lot of businesses do not have the expertise in-house on how to negotiate a better deal or how to maximize the value in negotiations. Overall, I understand and I understood that consulting business is not really well scalable, but it did provide and provides me the ability to work flexible hours, travel the world, and also make a difference on a more personal level with the companies I work. And it provides me ability to invest in my next venture, which we call Voy now. So I've been the co-founder of Voy for the last 7 months, where we're building an app for sailors to share, connect, help each other, lend a hand. And as some of you probably know, it's not an easy journey. Together with 2 other co-founders, we decided to go the path of bootstrapping, that is, putting our own resources and financing in building the app and the minimum viable products. While bootstrapping has its own risks, it also provides you with certain independence, flexibility, and I think if the time comes where we need to ask or pitch for the external investments, it also shows that you put your money where your mouth is, that you really believed in it because you put your own skin in the game. If there is one thing that I found in the 7 months as a startup co-founder, is that it's really important who is on the journey with you. It's important that together with your co-founders, you share the same vision and values. It doesn't mean that your view should not be challenged or that you should not have arguments, but it's really important that you feel in the same boat. So pursuing your dreams definitely feels like a roller coaster. When I was younger, I read the book called The Alchemist, and there was this quote that said that if you really want something, the entire universe conspires in helping you to achieve it. Well, I'm a bit older now, and I think that while it's a very nice sentiment, achieving your dream requires determination, hard work, resilience. In other words, real commitment. So I allowed myself to amend this quote and add that when you really want something and you're really committed, the universe conspires. I feel like I need to explain this. I believe that when you're really, really committed to your dream or the future life that you aspire to, the stars line up. First, the people. There'll always be people who think, wow, you're a crazy one. Why would you leave the safe environment? Why would you refuse a good, stable monthly salary? But then you'll have your fan club, the cheerleaders, the people who will choose to mentor you, guide you, or become your partners in your next venture. Hold on those people. They're good to have. The opportunities. When you're really committed, you start noticing more opportunities. You start going outside your comfort zone and really embracing the unknown. I have one really good example. My last collaboration partner that sometimes hires me for consulting work and delivering trainings for negotiation, I met the founder of that company in the middle of the street in Vilnius, just like that. And then I had a little courage to start talking to him, share my story about sailing the world, and then we found synergies that actually I can add value to his company, and they can give me some extra funding for my dream. And last, ideas. Commitment generates innovative ideas. You become more intentional in everything you do. So real commitment to your dreams and goals is a very powerful force. Don't forget that. So naturally, the question is, what's now? I continue traveling the world as an independent negotiator, offering training and advisory services. Currently, me and my family started the packing process for moving on to the boat. And then we're investing in the building the app Voy for sailors. We're so committed to our startup that we even named our boat after it. What's next? The MVP of Voy will be released in April, so around a month from now. On April 7th, so a few weeks from now, me along with my family will move onto a boat that you see in the picture. And as for work, while I'm transferring the work related to my legal consulting company to one of my colleagues, I'm continuing working on the negotiation business and further developing the app. It's really hard to believe that the dream that you hold on to for so long is becoming true. But I can tell you that it feels amazing. As I stand here sharing my very personal story with you, I really would like to encourage you to step back, take a moment, and think, what truly brings joy to your life? How do you want your life to be? And then unlock the magic in your business journey by dreaming big, courageously taking actions, and then committing truly. Whether you're just starting out or whether you have been in business for years, it's really never too late to chase your dreams and then align your business or reinvent your business with your personal aspirations. And if you want to stay connected with me, I welcome you to connect, but I really hope that you got something out of my story. Thank you.
Hey. Thank you very much. Oh, you speakers, you're always catching me off guard. No, I'm going to talk for 25 minutes. No.
I did not say that. Ha ha ha.
Duffman says a lot of things. That's all right. That's okay. Let's check the questions where people are asking on the Votamo platform before we go on. It's a very interesting story, very forthright, and you're able to kind of make your own. Did you always have this sort of mindset ever since you were young? Like, I can do it, I can get out there? Or is
Yeah, I think so. I changed it over time, of course, but I always believe that you have to control your life, in a sense, where you can control it and take the lead.
Okay, is there something, would you say, was there something maybe from a mentor or someone early on that helped to instill these ideas in you, or was this an influence, or when was that sort of first time you had a mentor or an influential person that really helped to guide you?
I think every person I meet in my life I find inspirational, and sometimes it's the opposite of that. Sometimes it's the people who maybe lack a dream that you think you can live the more intentional life. But in every person, my former managers, I found a lot of inspiration, so.
Okay. It was a question asked here. Could you go into more detail on your decision-making process, specifically how to overcome the fear of the unknown and to make that jump? Talk us through that, how you might break down a problem.
Yes, so the process of the unknown, it's really difficult, but I like the quote that says, "Adventure without risk is Disneyland." And I really like that because it's true. If you really want something, you have to understand that there'll be times where you have to push through, and there'll be times that the world or the environment will test your commitment to your dream. it can't be easy. The more difficult it is, the more you appreciate it afterwards. So you just have to be resilient.
Is that it? Come on, dig in. Come on, I'm not going to let you off the hook that easy. Tell us some of the specific details of your decision-making process, and you just told me, go for it.
Yeah, make a plan.
Okay.
Then, when you make a plan, put the action list and execute. Execution is a secret to everything. I think very often we let the fear drive it, but you have to execute and have your goal in front of you. Why are you doing this? And once you know why, it will be easier to make those decisions.
Okay, so we're doing some goal setting there.
Yes.
So is the goal setting helping us with our prioritization?
Yes, priorities, definitely. It's
Okay.
very important, but I still think that it's understanding why and it's the execution. Because I think setting goals, it's easy. It's just the exercise you do with a pen on a piece of paper. But where people usually struggle is in execution and keeping to that. Because very often we say, wow, this is the unknown. It's the area that I haven't tried before. And then you turn back and go backwards instead of forward.
Okay. So, all right, so keeping to a goal, execution. So do you have some example in your life where maybe you've done that? Maybe you've thought, I'm going to have a goal, and then it was sort of halfway through. Maybe some of you haven't told us already, of course. And then you had to, what's the difference then on giving up on a goal or pivoting, reprioritizing, things change, reevaluating? You see what I mean? One's giving up, not good. One is adapting. Talk a little bit about the balance of those.
Yes, adaptability is definitely an important factor because you have to consider, and in my personal story, it was a stage of COVID where I thought, okay, maybe the plan that was made, financial plan or even the budget, whether it will not hold water, right? You have to look at those numbers. But in the end, that's why you have the people and the opportunities around you to also talk through it and say, does that make sense? Does my economic plan or budget make sense? Can I really do it? So reprioritizing is really important, but it's, I think keeping the goal and it's the essence, so. And sometimes having a plan B can be an option as well. So what's your plan B?
All right, so we could have multiple possible outcomes. Of course, when we're doing planning initially, this could happen. Contingency planning is very important for each of those. So if I've understood what you were saying, it's to, when you don't know whether I should give up or pivot, let's say, to provide insight from others, right? To have trusted advisors around you who can maybe be more impartial to help you in that. So if you had that in your, like, who would you think in your life? Is it your husband, or do you have professional, or do you sort of professional?
I have professional mentors, yes. Okay. So my former managers, very often, I had an ability to discuss my career quite openly because often you don't feel like you can do that if you say, maybe I'm staying here for 5 years, let's make the best life together, right, in the corporate world. Sure. So I had a good manager who was open about my idea that one day I will leave and go sail around the world, and then discussing what are the options. So.
All right, anyway, we're out of time. Thank you very much.
Thank
Please,
you.
one more round of applause.
Thank you.
Ma'am.